My wife and my best friend slept together behind my back. They thought I'd never know, but I didn't just find out, I made them pay, right in front of her entire family. My name is Ethan Miller, 34 years old, born and raised in the small town of Hamilton, Montana, a place where winters are bone-chilling but people are used to living warmly, closely. I'm a construction engineer, running a small company that fixes houses and builds local projects. Not rich by any means, but comfortable, and most importantly, I once thought I was happy. My wife, Lauren, is an art teacher at the town's high school. She has a radiant smile and always commands attention wherever she is. We've been married for 9 years, living a life that many around us envied. Every weekend, we'd host little backyard parties. Friends would come over, grill meat, drink beer, play guitar. And standing by my side was always Lauren. Then there's Dylan, my best friend since college, a fixture in that life. He's the kind of guy everyone loves, charming, quick with a joke, and especially skilled at making people feel special. Dylan works for an event planning company in Missoula, over an hour's drive from my place, but he'd show up almost every weekend to hang out. Dylan was the best man at my wedding. He even caught Lauren when she slipped at the reception party. Back then, I was grateful. Now, I wish she'd fallen hard and I'd never had to thank that guy. But I didn't know anything yet. At the time, I was clueless, still thinking my life was a gentle ballad. Lauren sometimes came home late from teaching. I believed it was because students stayed to ask for extra help. Dylan got busier, visited less. I chalked it up to work. I even felt guilty, thinking I hadn't made enough time for them. Until one day, everything started to crumble from a single glance. It was a Saturday night, and we were hosting another small party at home. Friends filled the place, and Dylan was there, bringing a bottle of my favorite aged whiskey. Lauren wore a pale green dress, the kind Dylan had complimented many times. I was grilling in the backyard while they sat chatting at the table on the porch, near the kitchen window. Then, as I stepped inside to grab more skewers, I caught Dylan's eyes on Lauren. Not like before, not playful or friendly, but something entirely different. Like something had happened, and they were hiding it. Lauren looked away when she saw me watching, her smile a bit forced. Dylan waved me over, grinning wide. I tried to brush it off, but a strange feeling crept in, a cold shiver down my spine. I told myself I was overthinking, yet that feeling, it didn't fade. It clung to me all night, even as I held Lauren in bed like every night before. I started noticing things, fleeting touches, cryptic remarks, unnatural pauses. I had no proof, just instinct. But from that moment I couldn't sleep soundly. After that party, I didn't see Lauren the same way. I loved her, that never changed. But love doesn't mean blindness, and though I wanted to believe, that glance kept replaying in my head like a video stuck on loop. I grew more observant. Lauren often went out at night, saying she had school meetings or was catching up with old friends. But oddly, whenever I asked, "Do you meeting?" she'd smile lightly and say vaguely, "Just some old friends, no one you know." For in a small town like Hamilton, how could I not know her friends? As for Dylan, he started coming around more often, but he timed his visits for when I was busy or away. Once, I came back early from a job site and saw him stepping out from my porch, buttoning up his shirt. I asked, "Hey, what are you doing here?" He just grinned. Lauren called me over to fix a loose towel rack in the bathroom. I nodded, but something in me thumped 3 times. That night I didn't sleep. I lay next to Lauren, listening to her steady breathing, my mind swirling with doubt. Around 2 a.m. her phone lit up. A message popped up just as I turned to grab a glass of water from the nightstand. Impossible to miss. "Dylan, still drives me crazy like always. You're truly my poison, Lauren." I don't remember how I sat up or what my face looked like. I only know my heart felt crushed, my throat went dry, my hands shook. I wanted to yell, to rip the blanket off and confront her, but then I looked at Lauren, sleeping peacefully beside me, as if she'd never betrayed me for a second. And I realized, if I made a scene now, I'd only get denials. She's clever. Dylan's good at excuses. Without proof, I'd be the paranoid husband. I set the phone back down, gently, as if nothing had happened. But inside me, a plan began to form. I didn't want apologies. I wanted truth, and I'd make them expose their own nature to everyone. The next morning, Lauren woke early, still smiling at me like nothing was wrong. She poured coffee, kissed my cheek, and said, "I've got extra classes till late today. Don't wait for dinner." I looked at her for a few seconds. In my mind was the image of Dylan's message flashing in the dark. "All right, be safe," I replied. My voice was oddly calm. As soon as she left, I got to work. I'm an engineer. I know how to hide things where no one would notice. I installed a small recording device behind the bookshelf facing the living room, where Dylan often sat when he visited. The camera linked straight to my phone. Then, I borrowed Lauren's phone when she left it on the vanity while showering. It took 3 minutes to install a tracking app. She never suspected a thing. From that day, I barely slept. But I knew I couldn't turn back. Just days later, she said she had a school meeting at 6 p.m., but the app showed her phone at a small motel near the northern woods, nowhere near any school. I didn't go there right away. Instead, I checked the home camera, and I nearly dropped my phone when I saw Dylan at 3 p.m. that day, walking into my house with the spare key. Lauren wasn't there, but Dylan stood in the living room, looked around, and pulled a small box from his pocket. A silver bracelet inside, with a pendant engraved, "Forever." He slipped it into the drawer Lauren used for her makeup. Disgust rose in my throat. Was he treating my home like their love nest? The next day, Lauren lied again. Same motel. This time, I followed. I parked 2 blocks away, watching through small binoculars from my car. And I saw clearly, Dylan stepped out of his car, shirt rumpled, knocking on room 204. The room the tracker showed Lauren was in. She opened the door, smiled, hugged him. I clenched my jaw, my fingers gripped the steering wheel, but I didn't barge in. I still had work to do. I needed them confident, careless, because what I was about to do wouldn't just end things. It would be a public verdict before her family, friends, and this whole town. Her name was Hailey, Lauren's younger sister, 3 years her junior. Unlike her sister, Haley was quiet, introspective. After finishing her master's in psychology in Seattle, she'd returned to Montana a few months ago, staying at her parents' small house. She'd drop by our place for dinner or to chat sometimes. I liked her, for her sincerity, for eyes that always met mine without hiding true feelings. I have no intention of confiding in anyone, especially Lauren's family. But things changed one Saturday afternoon. Lauren was out again. "Teacher group meeting," she said. I was about to grill alone when Haley showed up with a bag of freshly baked cookies. "I heard from Sis you've been eating alone a lot lately. Brought some cookies?" We sat on the back porch, the air cool. I poured a bit of bourbon while Haley sipped hot tea. After a long pause, she spoke. "Ethan, can I ask honestly, is Lauren okay lately?" I looked over. Her eyes held no cheap curiosity, just genuine concern. I sighed. She's fine, just, we haven't been as close lately." Haley nodded slightly. I figured. She's been avoiding talking to me more than usual, and something feels off about her. A long silence followed. I hesitated, but then somehow I asked, "Do you think Lauren could be hiding something?" Haley looked at me for a long time, then gave a small nod. "Yes, and I think you're hiding something too, aren't you?" I didn't say anything, just looked away, forcing a smile. But Haley stayed there, silent, as if saying, "You don't have to pretend anymore." That night, I told Haley part of the truth for the first time. Not everything. I didn't mention the camera or the motel, just that I suspected Lauren wasn't faithful anymore. That I was looking into it before deciding anything big. Haley didn't interrupt, didn't press me. She just looked at me, then gently placed her hand on mine. You're not crazy, you're not blind, and if she's really doing this, I'm on your side. I didn't expect support from my wife's sister, but those words, simple, soft, warmed me after days of cold. From then on, Haley came by more often, sometimes just with coffee, sometimes staying all afternoon to talk about psychology books she was reading, but most importantly, she listened, and I no longer felt alone in the house that was supposed to be my warmest place. A strange feeling started to grow in me. Not love, not some rushed attraction, but trust, safety. And in a world where those closest could stab me in the back, having one person who was genuine was something I never thought I'd find. I don't remember how many nights I went without sleep, only that each time Lauren smiled carelessly, I felt choked, as if every beautiful memory we had was now just makeup hiding rot underneath. I had everything. Camera footage of Dylan coming and going from my house. Lauren's phone GPS history at the outskirts motel. Sickening, shameless texts from him to her. Photos of them hand in hand at room 204's door. But I knew evidence alone wasn't enough. I wanted them to pay, not quietly, but under the spotlight, before family. A week later, Lauren announced a small party at our house to tighten family bonds. We'll invite my parents, Haley, Dylan, and a few close friends, she said, folding napkins. What do you think? I looked at her for a long moment. My answer was already clear. Perfect. I nodded. Great idea, I'll handle the grilling. She didn't know that party would be the biggest trap of her life. A play where I was the director, and the audience were those she thought would always stand by her. That night, after Lauren slept, I texted Haley. You free? Need to talk privately. Less than 2 minutes later, she called back. Her voice was slightly hoarse from sleep, but still gentle. I'm here. I told her everything. For the first time, the full truth. From the camera, the tracking, to the clip I'd recorded at the motel. Haley was silent for a moment. Then she asked, her voice slow and firm, "What are you going to do?" I answered, "I'll let them destroy themselves. In front of everyone. No hitting, no yelling, just bringing the truth to light." Haley sighed. "And you want my help, right?" "No. I don't want to force you to choose between your sister and the truth. I just need to know. Are you with me?" "On the other end," Haley replied without hesitation. "I'm with what's right, and her, if she betrayed like that, she's not the person I respected anymore." I sent Haley the video and evidence files. We agreed not to make a scene, just wait for the right moment, and I'd show everyone the memory video of my wife and best friend. The next week, Lauren still smiled, still kissed my cheek each morning, still giggled at texts when she thought I wasn't looking. But I was different. I wasn't hurt anymore, I was ready. No longer in pain, I'd accepted. Only one thing remained: justice and freedom. Saturday night. Our backyard was decked with soft yellow string lights, tables and chairs arranged in a semicircle, the smell of grilled meat filling the air. Lauren wore a white dress, hair lightly curled, red lipstick, looking like the perfect wife, so much I almost laughed. Guests arrived in full: Lauren's parents, some old friends, and of course, Dylan. He wore a green shirt, holding a bottle of wine, laughing like he'd never betrayed anyone. Haley came a bit late. She dressed simply, gray sweater, jeans, but her eyes held pride. As she passed me, she gave a small nod, the signal that everything was set. After everyone ate and chatted, Lauren stood in the yard, holding a mic. "I want to thank you all for coming. Family's what matters most, and tonight I just want us to sit together, laugh, like old times." I stood beside her, hand on her shoulder. My smile was genuine, but for what came next. I nodded. On this occasion, I have a little gift. A memory video. Want everyone to watch. Lauren looked surprised, glancing at me. Me then, EJ. I didn't answer. Just plugged the USB into the outdoor TV, then grabbed the remote. The screen lit up, and in that quiet air, the clip from the hidden camera played. Dylan entering my house through the back door. Lauren opening the bedroom door, greeting him with a smile. Them embracing, kissing, on the very living room sofa, where everyone sat facing now. Silence. No one spoke. Only the sharp gasp of Lauren's mom, the clink of a wine glass hitting the floor, and Dylan's face, turning from red to pale. Lauren jumped up, running to the TV. "Ethan, what are you doing? Turn it off! Turn it off!" I stood still, eyes locked on hers. "I'm not doing anything. I'm just showing everyone the truth they deserve to know after all the lies you fed them." Dylan tried to stand, but Haley blocked him. "Sit down. If you have any shame left, don't open your mouth." Lauren's dad stood, hands trembling. These came like, "Is this real?" Lauren stammered, tears streaming. I'm sorry, But that apology came too late. I turned to Dylan, the guy who vowed to always have my back. "You were there when I got married, you handed me the ring, and you slept with my wife behind my back." He didn't reply, eyes bloodshot. Being exposed before familiar faces was something he'd never imagined. I turned to Lauren. "Thank you for teaching me the biggest lesson of my life. It's not strangers who stab you in the back, it's those you trust most." Then I set the remote on the table. Party's over. People stood quietly. Lauren's mom sobbed. Her dad took his wife's hand and left. Dylan bolted first, not daring to look back. Lauren stood alone, lipstick smudged, eyes dazed. Haley came to my side, hand on my back. "You did well," she whispered. "No, I just gave back what they sowed." We didn't say more. But in the fading glow of the lights, I knew the old chapter was closed, and a new one began right then. After that party, my house was eerily quiet. Lauren packed her things the next morning. Not a word, no questions. She just walked silently through the living room, where she'd betrayed me, and left in a car borrowed from her parents. I didn't see her off, didn't hold her back. There was nothing left to say. Word was she moved to stay with a friend in Bozeman. No one in her family wanted to take her in again. Dylan vanished. The friend groups we used to hang with went silent. Some were angry, some disgusted. Dylan's girlfriend, a nurse in Missoula, smashed his car windows when she found out. I didn't gloat, didn't pity. Everyone reaps what they sow. And me? I spent the next few days cleaning up, not just the house, but my life. I tossed old photo frames, deleted Lauren's favorite playlists, even changed the Wi-Fi password from Ethan and Lauren forever. Strangely, I wasn't sad. Just light. Like I'd walked out of a long dream and could finally breathe. Haley still came by, at first worried I'd break down, later because we felt at ease together. We sat on the back porch, where Lauren and I used to be. Now I sat there with Haley. 2 hot coffees, 2 souls scarred, but still full of kindness, to not shut out the world. "How do you feel?" Haley asked one late fall afternoon, wind chilly. "Free," I said. "No need to think. I don't have to pretend everything's fine anymore." She smiled, her eyes gentle yet deep. "I don't think she ever truly understood you." I looked at her, hello, for a long moment, then blurted, "And you? Do you think you understand me?" Haley didn't answer right away. She looked down at her hands, gripping her coffee mug. Then she said softly, "I'm not sure I fully do, but I want to be here, to learn how." That answer, simple, no grand promises, moved me more than any vow. That evening, I invited Haley to stay for dinner. We cooked together, grilled meat and mashed potatoes. Not fancy, but the first time in months my kitchen felt warm again. After dinner, we watched a movie like old friends, more than two people tied by Lauren's past. Mid-movie, Haley turned to me, hesitating. "Do you think us being like this will make people misunderstand?" I nodded slightly. "Some will, but if we live for what others think, we'll never be happy." Haley gave a small laugh. She leaned her head on my shoulder. No more words. And for the first time in that painful journey, I didn't feel like I was holding up a front. I wasn't the betrayed husband nor the guy plotting revenge. I was just a man, learning to live again, thanks to the honest kindness of a woman without a mask. We didn't talk about us for many days after. It just flowed naturally, like a new habit. Haley kept coming, I kept welcoming. We cooked, drank tea, talked, watched Netflix without needing to hold hands or exchange loaded glances. But sometimes, I saw Haley's eyes pause when her mom called. Some afternoons I caught her staring off when someone mentioned Lauren. I understood, not because she still cared for her sister, but because she feared becoming another stain in her family's eyes. Until one day, I spoke up. "Haley," I said as she arranged books in the living room, "we can't keep going like this." She turned, startled. "What do you mean?" "This feeling, it's growing, and I don't want it hidden or sneaking around like what I went through." Haley was silent, then nodded slightly. "I think so too, but do you think they'll accept it? She just left not long ago and—" I cut her off gently. "Haley, we didn't destroy anything. What Lauren and Dylan did was betrayal. You're just helping me live on." We decided to tell Lauren's parents, now Haley's parents, that weekend. They always liked me, but I knew this wouldn't be easy to swallow. We met them at a small family diner in town, the place they used to take everyone for birthdays. When we walked in, holding hands, Susan, Haley's mom, widened her eyes. Patrick, her dad, set his spoon down gently. Haley squeezed my hand, then sat across from them. "Mom, Dad, we need to talk, and please, let us finish." She started. Clear, calm, like a grown woman defending her choice. "I know this is hard to hear, but I can't live in guilt just for being Lauren's sister. I saw her betray the best man I've ever known. And when he was left alone, I was there." I added, slowly, "I'm not trying to replace anyone, but when everything fell apart, Haley was the only one by my side, not out of duty, but because she meant it." A long silence stretched. Patrick cleared his throat, looking me in the eye. I shook my head. "If I wanted revenge, I'd have posted those clips online for the whole town to see. But I didn't, because I don't need noise. I just need a new chance. With someone who deserves it." Susan put her hand on the table, sighing. "We can't choose who loves who, but please, do things right. And don't let this happen to anyone else." Haley took her mom's hand, eyes teary. "Yeah, promise." We left the diner in silence, but not the silence of judgment. It was a silence to think, to accept, maybe even to forgive. On the drive back, Haley sat quietly for a bit, then turned to me. "I never thought I'd love someone who was my sister's husband." I replied softly. "I never thought I'd be loved again, so decently." I was clearing out the shed when I heard a knock. At first I thought it was a neighbor or Haley arriving early, but when I opened the door, I froze. Durango. She stood there, in a thick coat, hair loose, face noticeably gaunt. No more pride, no more fake smiles, just eyes flickering between anger and helplessness. "Got 5 minutes?" she asked. I crossed my arms, standing at the threshold. "I don't think there's anything to say." "Then let me talk alone," she said, voice firm. I sighed, stepping back. She walked in, the house that used to be ours, now empty like the trust I once had for her. "You're dating Haley, right?" she asked, no beating around. "What's that to you?" I replied. "She's my sister, Ethan," she nearly shouted. "Don't you find that disgusting? You're sleeping with someone who shares my blood." I clenched my fists, but kept my voice steady. "Don't talk morals with me, Lauren. You and Dylan, what you did in this very room. You remember, don't you?" Lauren laughed bitterly. "At least I didn't pretend to love someone else for revenge." I didn't hold back. "Revenge? Haley was the only one there when you vanished with my best friend. She didn't step in, you left a void, and I didn't want to live in that cold pit anymore. That's it." Lauren sank onto the sofa. "Where she and Dylan betrayed me," and sighed. After a moment she said, "My parents won't talk to me, friends turned their backs, Dylan's gone like he never existed." I didn't respond, just looked at her, no longer angry, just empty. Lauren looked up, eyes red. "I'm sorry, really. I don't know why I ruined everything. Maybe because I wanted to be desired, noticed, something you stopped giving me." I took a breath, not to sympathize, but to cut the last tie. "I don't hate you anymore, Lauren. Don't love you either. I just want you to know you can't come back here to rewrite the story how you want." She stood, stepping closer, eyes resolute. You're really choosing Haley? You'll stick with my sister." I nodded. "Not for revenge, not to replace, but because she makes me feel honesty, something I didn't have for years with you." Lauren nodded slowly, tears fell, but she didn't apologize again, didn't beg. She knew the curtain fell long ago. She just couldn't leave the stage. Before walking out, she left one line. "I hope she doesn't betray you like I did, because if she does, you won't survive it again." The door closed. I stood still. Not sad, not angry, just light. This time, truly done. When Haley came that afternoon, I didn't mention Lauren. I just hugged her tight, not from fear of loss, but because for the first time I knew I'd chosen right. A week after Lauren's visit, things seemed to fall back into place. She left town, this time for good, from what Haley heard from her parents. No one mentioned Dylan anymore. And me? I stopped dreaming of betrayal. Stopped waking in a cold sweat. Instead, I woke to the smell of Haley's coffee, her soft footsteps in the kitchen, and her warm glance each morning. "Sleep well, Ethan?" I never thought I could be happy again, at least not this gently. One Sunday afternoon I took Haley to the meadow by Bitterroot Lake, where I'd built a small wooden cabin years ago as a solo crafts workshop. Now it was a perfect spot to escape the world for a few hours. I set up a simple picnic, ham sandwiches, strawberries, wine. As the sun cast an orange glow over the lake, I looked at Haley, who was propped on her elbows, watching clouds drift. "Ed, I've got a question." "Kinda serious," I said. She turned, squinting with a smile. How serious?" I pulled a small box from my pocket. Not a ring, but my house key. "Haley, I'm not asking you to move in now, or to answer now, but if one day you feel ready, use this key." She looked at me for a long time, then gently placed her hand on mine, squeezing. "I don't need to wait for ready. I just need to know I'm in the right place." Haley moved in with me at the start of winter. The house suddenly felt warmer, brighter. We got new bed sheets, repainted the living room, tossed out old things, tied to Lauren, not to erase the past, but to write our present in our own hand. Haley stayed close with her parents, and slowly they accepted us as natural. No more wary glances, no half-assed questions, just the peace of a family healing. One night, by the fireplace, I whispered, "You know, before you, I thought my life was all cracked. But because of you, I learned light only comes through the broken places." Haley looked at me, eyes shimmering. "And sometimes, Those cracks make a shape more beautiful than anything whole. We didn't need more words. Yes, Justo, people once hurt, now learning to love, decently. Time passed faster than I thought. One day I was sitting in the living room, heart shattered by texts between my wife and best friend, and now I'm planning a backyard redo for Haley's 30th birthday party. She didn't want anything big, just a small gathering with close friends, homemade food, and the guitar I'd bought her months ago. But to me, it meant everything. Because now, every day with Haley feels like fate's apology. A week before the party, we looked through old photos. Her first time opening the family album. Pictures of her and Lauren as kids. Family camping trips, the sisters holding hands outside their high school. Haley stared for a long time, then turned to me. No matter what happened, she's still part of my memories. I can't fully hate her. I nodded, saying nothing, but I understood. Forgiving isn't to return, but to free yourself. On Haley's birthday night, the air was just cold enough for everyone to gather around the backyard fire. I watched her, smiling brightly, hair swaying in the breeze, and felt a strange emotion rise. Gratitude. Gratitude for being betrayed. Gratitude for falling apart. Gratitude, because without those, I'd never have known Haley was the light at the tunnel's end I didn't expect to find. When the guests left, I took Haley to the cabin by the lake, where we'd picnicked before. On the table was the guitar she'd mentioned last year. I can't play, but she can, and she strummed a soft ballad, her voice like a breeze in my ear. You walked through the storm alone, but love found you, broken but whole. I took her hand after the last note, eyes deep in hers. I can't promise anything except, every morning, I'll choose to love you again, like the first time, like the only. Haley said nothing, just hugged me. Not too tight, not dramatic, no tears needed, but enough for me to know I was home. Some people come to teach you lessons. Some come to heal. Lauren was the first kind. Haley is both. And if you're reading this, if you've been through pain like mine, seen your world collapse because of one person, remember, betrayal isn't the end. It's just the start, if you're brave enough to keep going.